All right. Good to see you, brother. Here we are in Dominical. Actually, we're at David's place, and this is episode 9 of As We Heal, the 21-day water fast intimate healing journey. This is the final episode. I'll probably do kind of one more like overall follow-up thing when I'm back in Toronto. But yeah, this will be the final episode for now. I have officially left the Tanglewood Wellness Center yesterday, and it was quite a fucking journey. And oh my goodness. And now I'm at David's. I'll be here for 11 days, and then I'll be back in Toronto. And I'm super happy to have David. He is he's a man of high integrity, a man who lives of purpose, and somebody who's played a pretty big role in my life in the last, I guess, like a little over a year now. I've known you for longer, but you know, we've really connected in that time, and you really supported me with things in relation to my business and just standing my power and moving forward. And bringing even stronger offerings to the world. So I want to thank you so much for that, David. And yeah, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for looping me in. I appreciate that, and thanks for the acknowledgement. It's definitely been an honor to interweave and co-create. And he made it. He made it last night, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, so good to have you here in the flesh and ground into this time and have this opportunity to flow with this conversation around integration and how it's been going for you. As far as me, yeah, for sure. Like anybody who I haven't danced with so far, I'm into men's rite of passage work. I host retreats down here in Costa Rica with 90-day initiation containers as well too. So all depending on where the hero's journey is at with the brothers and with the men, we sort of interweave, and whether it's walking that purposeful walk and bringing, like we've supported you with, bringing a purpose online and really dialing it in to make it its highest expression and grow it from that standpoint. Or we could be starting right from kind of ground zero, men who are sort of new to the rite of passage work and really going into initiation on taking on the self-love work and the forgiveness practices and really looking at self-sabotage and ways that we get in our own way, and resetting the game board is what I call it. It's like really looking at auditing life and all the pillars of life and really resetting with intention and to walk with purpose and with intention. So that's been my jam, bro. It's been my jam for many years now, I guess since 2019. We started the retreats and I started creating things online for obvious reasons. There was no travel or in-person stuff happening for a little bit of a season there. So it's all sort of birthed and evolved into all these different offerings. But yeah, I was super grateful to start hosting retreats again here in Costa Rica. It's such a magical place to guide the rite of passage work. So that's a little bit about me, brother. But we're here to talk about you. How's this journey been, bro? You're out of the center. You're back in the real world, quote unquote. So yeah, curious on how that's been going so far, and we can kind of dance and weave the conversation from there.
Yeah, for real. Well, thank you, brother. Yeah, and I feel like it's such important work that you do. So, you know, thank you for all you bring to the world, you know, and all those that you've supported, and again, including myself.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like, you know, initiations and rites of passage, I feel like, you know, this is already like, you know, an initiation after leaving the center. Yeah. Like being in 28 days in this like totally enclosed area, you know, completely regimented, you know, the same, a very similar flow each day. And, you know, in the morning, meeting with the doctors, seeing the same people, you know, howler monkeys at 5 a.m. every morning, you know,
it's just the real doctors.
Yeah, really. Yeah, the wake up doctors. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it was definitely a very different world. And it was a place where I could really open my heart. And like the last day was just so beautiful because, you know, we all shared something in common. And that's that we all came for different reasons, but we all did this. Really, to me, this is a big initiation and like rite of passage. This, you know, everyone there was basically almost minimum doing a 21-day water fast. We had a couple people there do 14 and 18. And the last day there was, the people that were there were 2 14s, an 18-day water fast, 2 people, including myself, doing a 21-day water fast. There was 3 people who did a 26-day water fast. There was another one who did 29-day. There's another one who did a 33-day, and another one who was doing a 42-day. It was on day 35. She has cancer and already feeling like so much better. She showed a lot of strength, but it was like a really emotional like goodbye with everyone, because there's just like mutual respect for each other that like, man, you would take this on, and not a lot of them. There's maybe just a couple that had done it before, like this level of long fast. So we really built a community. We really supported each other, there for each other each day. And so it was really special. It was emotional, leaving. And we have a WhatsApp group and everything. I'll post photos of everyone. But it was just like really, really sweet and just incredible energy on the way out. So so far, the refeeding has been going really well. Basically, this is day 9. So the final day was day 7, and then yesterday, which was quite an awful day, was day 8. And for about day 9 to 15, I had quite challenging times fast, and I've been quite open about that. Impulses around the deepest stuff that came up around poker. Like I'd mentioned to people, that was something that was like a bad addiction I had, but this was like years and years ago, like a decade ago, where it was like really bad. And it's like interesting to see like all the deepest, darkest stuff come up, because it was like anything in my mind was coming in to basically take me out of the moment and to not be aware and like deal with the emotions. But especially like I do a lot of like emotional repression work, a lot of emotional processing. So it was actually more mental, and my family, especially on my mom's side, is more of like a history of mental disorder. And then on my dad's side is more of the history of like the stomach issues and these kind of things, which is one of the reasons why I came for. So, it was like really going deep into this stuff. And so it was interesting how like, when you have nowhere to go, you don't have food, you're like, and then you're in this like at times really weak and like vulnerable place. It's like, it's crazy how your mind can come in and just like, there's nobody who knows our subconscious better than ourselves and our like ego mind. And it will find whatever way as we do this deepest work, to come in and to trigger us, and like whatever will draw our attention. This is just what I've noticed from my journey, not even just from the water fast, but especially that. But I feel like it's important to like emphasize this, because I know a lot of people like go through this, and it's so such a triumphant feeling. By day 15, I had conquered it. Like none of this other stuff came back. Actually, day 15 to 21 were easy, and I saw other people again like still really struggling, and I was just resolved. I had a couple of nights where I was just, man, I almost had to basically cry myself to sleep. And it was just like, fuck, this is awful. Like, this is just like, Lord have mercy on me, because it was just like, this is my lowest point. And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful to get through that. And if you go back to other episodes, I talk all about it, and like, getting support, the meditative techniques, all the different things that I did, modes of surrender. So I'm not going to go into all of that on this episode. I want to focus more on integration aspects. But so after that, and then the refeeding really has been quite great. Vitality was coming back, has been coming back like amazingly. I started strength training already on day 4. It has been challenging for the weight loss because of 20 pounds. There's only 150 coming in. I actually got down to 129.4, up to around like, we need to check the schedule. It's been, scale. It's been 2 days now. It's about 133. So definitely have had some things where I'm like, okay, I really want to get in. So day 4, 5, and 6, 4, 5, and 7, I've done strength training, which was challenging. It was definitely weaker, but I just basically gave it my all. In those training days. I'm going to continue to train with you here, David. So I'm stoked about that. But that's been something that's been a little weird on my mind here and there. I'm going to say, you know what, patience. It's okay if people like, judge. Obviously I have a reason for it. I just didn't eat for 21 days, but, But yeah, overall, things are going great. I can't believe the level of intelligence, like intelligent ideas all the time. My workflow, my discipline, like even the fast times I've been working, not very much, but like just finding a good like rest and then like getting into the work. And I find that's important for anyone, and that's really been helping to evolve my rest and like work play mode, and noticing those moments of anxiety when my system is telling me stop working right now, and I've seen how many times I have skipped that signal, so it's so beautiful to witness myself so many times being like, yes, I will stop, or really kind of like letting myself fully suffer the consequence and be like, okay, this is what happens, and just be with it, and that's also the benefit of doing something like the fast or other cleanses and detoxes where you really, specifically regiment yourself and be like, you know what, this is how I'm going to flow. And it's nice when we create these kind of boundaries and structures and then have the accountability. And, just whenever stuff come up, I can't believe how much I've been practicing reaching out, but I've been really applying it every time and just being totally honest, just like revealing myself. And that's been such a transformation. And I feel like it's been a huge rite of passage, because I feel like I don't just feel like I can relate with people better. I feel like I'm more relatable. Like I'm relating with myself, like that relationship has really dialed in. So that's been really, really special. And so now I'll get to Saturday with day 8, because man, things have been flowing super nicely. And got to day 8 and basically left the center about 6:45 a.m. They geared me up with all this fruit, a big 1-liter bottle filled up of fresh coconut water, everything I would need for the trip. And I'm in a mode where I just spent a lot of money. I actually did even detox before coming on this fasting experience. The whole thing probably costed me, and with this fast and the detox day before, probably about $10,000. So I spent a lot of money. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to take a couple buses, and then I'm going to have to like transfer in San Jose to get to a bus to get all the way over to you. So it was going to be intended to be about a 9.5-hour journey. The journey ended up being about 18.5 hours. And yeah, so the first leg went well. Took a cab with a couple of ladies from here. They ended up getting dropped off at the airport. We ended up getting on the bus to San Jose, and everything was going smooth there. And so I arrive in San Jose, Costa Rica. And for anyone who hasn't been here, San Jose is kind of like the main city in Costa Rica. I'm not sure. Is it the capital, David? Or?
It is. Yep.
The capital. So yeah, it's like the big city. There's an airport there and an airport in Liberia. And so yeah, I arrive, and I guess maybe I'm a little more ungrounded than I thought I was, being in this like very incubated place. I've only been eating fruit since, which I've never done a diet since finishing the fast. So this was day 8 of it, and I arrive in the bus terminal. As soon as I got into the bus terminal, it's just kind of, which is already kind of weird from the get-go. It's kind of dirty in there. And then I'm like trying to get into the bathroom, and they were like really small. I had all my stuff, and it was like kind of sketchy in there. So I was just like, all right. So I had to like get all my luggage in this like small little area, and I get in and then realize there's no toilet seat. There's no toilet seat in any of the bathrooms. And all the bathrooms here, especially in San Jose, they were charging you to like use them, except for the one in the bus terminal. So I guess. And I like literally had to like shit immediately as I'm on a bus for so long. So I just like hovered over, and then there wasn't any toilet paper there. And I was just like, oh my God. And so anyway, I get out, and then I'm like, it was probably about a 30-minute walk over to the terminal I needed to get to. And I had a little bit of time, but my bags were heavy. So I was like debating on walking, and then I turned off my airplane mode, and then my internet wasn't working. So I was hoping that I could just, kind of just like look and then see maybe I could walk, or potentially call a cab on the way. And then I forgot to turn my mobile network on my phone. So that's why it wasn't that to allow mobile networks to be like accessed. Something I always turn off when I'm traveling. But I wasn't thinking about that. So anyway, and then I would have, if that, I might have then clued me in that I could use Uber in Costa Rica, which you can use Uber in every country, but you can in Costa Rica. it's a little harder to find. I remember I tried last time in Dominical and it was harder, but in San Jose, obviously you could. Anyways, I was like, all right, I want to take a cab. So I went back to the bus terminal because I'm like, I saw there was like some, a lot of people just like trying to bug you to get into their cabs. So I was just, I kind of like called out, and a guy took me to his cab, seemed normal. And then he was starting to like drive me to my destination. And then he was like, oh, I just called your bus company, and that bus isn't happening anymore. And I'm going to drop you off at this terminal. It's just like right here. And you can go there. And it was like a bus terminal. And so it's like, okay, whatever. It wasn't very far from the last one. If it wasn't there, I could just go to the other one. So I get out, and then he's like, yeah, you can just talk to that information guy over there. And there's a guy wearing like an information necklace and stuff, and just like right at the bus terminal. And then so basically he was just like, oh, the last bus to Dominical came 20 minutes ago, and but I can take you to the next terminal. And talking perfect English, everything seemed good. A lot of people don't speak English here, so I stupidly got in the car with him and started going. And that's when this whole rigmarole scam, which I realized started with the first guy that I was already in. Basically he took me to like one terminal, and then they're like, it's not happening here. And then he started going on to the story around there being like a bus strike. And I don't know, like he just started talking to me about all these different things and about Canada, and just like, he was just so smooth, and just I didn't feel like I had no reason to not believe him. It was like really interesting. He was being like really kind, and I knew, because I've been to Costa Rica twice, and David, maybe you can confirm on this. It's like some people are really open-hearted here. Like there is some like a super pura vida vibe with some of the locals, and it's like the energy is just like really good. So with this guy, kind of like, it seemed like he was like really looking to like help me. And I've experienced this with a lot of people here. And I'm like, man, I'm like, heart's open. I used to be a little more gullible when I was younger, just in the fact that I was like innocent, in the fact that I trusted people. Like I just remember when I was younger, I just never thought that there was like really evil people in the world. Like people would do like really bad things, And obviously I've got to a point where I know that's different. But anyway, David, like, have you noticed that like in Costa Rica, there's just some like, that's an incredible, like outstanding people here.
100%. That's most people are in that vibe for sure. And with any country where there's like financial polarity, people are looking for opportunity, right? So yeah, it's a dance of discernment for sure.
Yeah. So
and I've been burned a few times, so it just is. It's part of like living in a country that you're integrating into, right? You come across those fun experiences and lessons for sure.
Exactly. And maybe you'll have one for us today. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to go 40 minutes max on this podcast. So I'm going to try to keep this one short so we can talk about some other things, but it's an interesting story. So I'd keep going into it, because it's embarrassing for me. It's definitely not something I really enjoy revealing, but because I got scammed. But anyway, went this whole thing where he like basically told me like there's this big strike is happening, and he ends up like has this whole information guide and like showing me and even calling the exact numbers, more than one, in this guide that's showing all these different bus companies that he's calling. Like they had it to fucking T, and he's like, we got to make this happen quickly. So now he's trying to cover up some of his anxiety, because he's like, oh, I got to make this happen for you, because there's not going to be many more buses that are still running today. Got in this whole thing, and my internet wasn't working. So I actually even tried to like look up this strike thing. And I think his energy was probably having an impact here on me now. And, I'm still recovering from this fast. Like I'm not back to like full energy and strength and everything. And so, so it ends up giving me these basically fake tickets that I end up paying an exorbitant amount for. And he drops me off at this like bus terminal. And after paying him basically the equivalent of like 270,000 colones, which equals I'm now taking a look at, like, I had to basically go to a bank, and my instincts came on a few times saying the words rigmarole came through about 2 or 3 times. And then also, am I being scammed, came like up like 2 or 3 times. So I'm happy that at least my instincts were kicking in, but why, for some reason, I didn't get the fuck out of that situation. He also told me like that he was like held by gunpoint not too long ago and different things. So I'm also thinking if I had have started to resist this situation and being in the cab, I don't know if he would have turned violent on me or like aggressive or, acted like he had a gun or something. So there's ways I'm kind of like, relieved. But yeah, with all the currency fees and everything, I lost about $800 from the thing. Basically it was like, oh, this is you to be able to get like this private bus. And so I feel really stupid that I fell for something like this. Like, I see every online scam, every other scam. Last time when I was like dealing weed when I was in my early 20s, I remember giving a buddy like $1,100, and he just took off, and he was living in the same place, and he ended up leaving that place like right then. That's like the last thing that happened to me like 15 years ago. But yeah. So anyways, once I realized it, there was a bunch of like really nice people ended up basically reminding me there was an Uber, let me connect to their internet. I still hadn't queued in around the mobile thing, because I was like shaking afterwards and just like fucking distressed and feeling like I was going to miss the bus to you, the original bus. I'm like, that bus is probably still available. And I ended up actually even getting to the terminal to get on the bus that I was going to get on to see you in the first place. It was later, but my bus was late in the first place. So I wasn't going to make the initial one I was hoping to. And then there's another thing around my intuition. And I think this is more even like instincts, especially the first one more related to instincts. I feel like instincts is more relates to fear and relates to like, and I feel like intuition more often relates to like a yes. Like, that's kind of like a simple way to like put it, but yeah. But then I'm about to like get on to, finally get to you, and I'm like so grateful. And then my bus wasn't coming, and it said a certain bus number, and then I even went to like verify, is this my bus number? And they're like, yeah, this is the bus number. I was feeling like it might have been wrong on the ticket, which is, in Canada, like, that never happens, And anyways, I had an instinct to go check a certain bus that I thought might be it, but my bag's really heavy. And I was like, I'm just going to trust this other person. And they were wrong. And then if I can tell them, they don't even apologize. And they just sort of like, oh, I almost want to pay for the ticket again. I'm just like, no, like, what the fuck? You guys made a mistake. And so they didn't end up making me pay for the ticket, but I had to wait another 2.5 hours. So then I'm just like, and I hadn't had a space to like actually like just kind of like cry, just like let out the emotion from the last experience. Yeah, I've been in all these public places, but then I just kind of like broke down right there. And I was like, holy shit. And then finally I got on the next bus 2.5 hours later. And then another thing happened. The third thing happened where this bus doesn't end up stopping in Dominical. I ended up stopping in this like next place, but I had like mapped something out wrong. I think I was just like thrown off. And then I end up, David, I don't know, like well over probably an hour and a half away from you. My phone dies. And now I'm like, feel like I'm fucking stranded. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get into a hotel because it's like 11:30 at night. I almost got off in the middle of nowhere in Costa Rica as my phone still had some battery. I'm like, okay, I'll just give David my location. My phone luckily went from like a 6-7% battery to a 1% and dead just before he opened the door. And I was almost about to get off in the middle of the fucking like nowhere, just completely dark. And then I would have been done. So I would have had to get hitchhiked. But then even then, I wouldn't have been able to get a hold of you. So I would have had to somehow find a hotel I might not have been able to get, maybe in Dominical or who knows. But with all my stuff, like, it was like, then I'm thinking, oh my God, now I just need to get to a power. So I started praying, and I'm really, man, I need an angel. And then I'm asking like the driver, I'm like, you get to a place that at least has like a hotel or something. And we eventually get off at a spot. And then there's this guy that's speaking English, this kid, he's finally like 15. And he speaks good English, and he's like, okay, I'm going to help you get to a place where you can get power. Luckily it was Saturday. So there's a 12 o'clock liquor store, convenience store place that was open. get there, finally able to plug in. And this guy was just like, still like super supportive. He's like, this place is going to close at 12. And then I finally got a hold of David and he's like, yes, I'll pick you up. I'm like, man, please. And it's like, it's super late for David now. And he doesn't know where the fuck I'm at. Like, he's like, it's been probably like over an hour since, and he goes to pick me up and I'm like nowhere. So it's like bad luck, I guess, happens in threes. But then finally David was like, hey, I'll come get you. And that place is going to close at 12. And David wasn't going to get there to like 12:30 at night. And the guy was like, I'm going to show you. There's actually a 24/7 restaurant with gas station open. And then this kid takes me there and he's talking with everyone, making sure that like everything is like good, doing like the translations. And so I tipped this kid really well. I have him on Instagram. And then he even told the waitress I got scammed. And the waitress charged me half my meal. And then she tried to give me $1 tip and she wouldn't let me tip her. And I should have given me $1 American. It's like, how I could tell she felt bad for me. I'm just like, no, please. David saw that. And then that's when David arrived. And so there's one last thing to share because in all of this, my goal is to stay 7 weeks eating basically fruitarian and with just some lettuces. And basically I had a little bit of cacao left over from like 30 days ago. And I was just like, I consciously had some, which is not, you're not supposed to have it. And I had some, but it was like melted and then it got like hardened. And this was like a while back and wasn't like refrigerated. It was really high quality cacao, but I ate it and, I knew what I was doing, but like maybe it was a third of a bar. Felt like complete shit. So like my system is like very sensitive and only wants certain things because it's on such a deep clearing process. So then I'm going through that and then I'm feeling like awful from that. And then I got to that place and I'm like hungry. So I got a salad, but then asked for some plantains, which were cooked because I felt like, man, if I'm making all these mistakes, like I need something to ground myself down a bit more. And then throughout the night, I was actually having, my body was like changing from hot and cold. And I'm like when the body's getting fever, when body's getting sick, everyone needs to know this. And I've done so much from getting sick and going through this whole process to an lecturing. The body is healing itself. Like that's one thing that everybody needs to know. Every time you get sick, the body is doing exactly what it needs to heal itself. Even when parasites and stuff come in, they're coming in because they're clearing out the bad bacteria in your body. Our bodies are so fucking intelligent. I'm so happy how resilient my system is because I'm actually feeling a lot better this morning. I still need to relax. This is even a lot to do right now, the energy that I'm spending. But like I've committed to this and I want to do a good job and I want to just continue to show up. This last episode. And so you know what? I'm getting back on the train today. I had like 5 bowel moves this morning. We almost didn't start because I would end up being on like the toilet this morning. But my system actually just moved through it all. And I saw even the food from last night, like all coming out because there was a few pieces of corn I tried to pick it all out of the salad because corn's basically always GMO. And I guess there was a few, which made me know my bowel system is completely up to date, which is like really good news, how cleared out my system is right now. That the transit time is that quick from last night to droop. And so that's where I'm at, everybody. It might have been too much information throughout this journey, but I've called it an intimate healing journey. This has been a big deal for me to be so open with the world about what's going on in my life. Thank you, David. I know most guests, it hasn't been this long of me like talking and everything, but thank you for the space. I really appreciate it. And
yeah, brother. Yeah, thanks for bringing us in. Definitely hearing multiple rite of passages here, going through the journey. So I feel this is very common too. So like I'm curious. It's like going through, because I know a lot of both of our communities, whether it's like plant medicine or a fast or a vision quest or whatever it is, it's like that integration process. Often we get this like peak state or clearing or a new availability or a new awareness from that container that we go in, and then we come out and then we often face a challenge. So I'm curious of like what that process was like for you. It's like we're often get caught in, okay, I've got to maintain this perfect peak state. And the reality is when we come back into our life and into the interaction with the world outside, that these things come up and happen. So I'm kind of curious what you noticed about yourself, how you reacted to things, how even going forward from here, what did you notice that may have been linked to your container? Yeah, just curious if you're present to anything where it's like that, the actual integration piece of like, hey, this is what I'm being shown, as part of this process, if anything's come through so far or not?
Yeah. Well, I think a huge piece is discernment. And, like, I feel like my sickness that happened to me 14 years ago, there was an integrity of the gut lining that was broken, and I feel that that relates to one's own integrity and boundaries and conservation of energy and total respect for oneself, including one's body, and we make decisions every day, and obviously we are not always making decisions that are the best call for our body. And that's been a huge part of my journey, and like making those decisions. But, every decision we make each day has an impact. And, so there's a big area just around, especially being a man and, following my instincts and following my discernment and, really like, there was a lesson here that I feel really relates to when something even just feels a little bit off. It's like, take space, take space, like so often, because we get into particular cycles and get into particular ways of like doing things, it's like, we're so used to kind of like, okay, we're making very similar decisions like each day, or if we're feeling a particular way, then we do this, and I feel like to disrupt those patterns, it is like meditation supports so much with that, but there's like should be like a much deeper slowing down and listening, and I'm coming back into the real world, so to speak. There's a lot, there's a lot more noise that can start to creep in, and this is really teaching me to, on a really deep level, because I'm going to be processing this for a while. Like, it's not something I'm going to let like keep me down, because I was feeling quite down, yesterday in moments. And again, I reached out to a lot of people to support, and you've definitely been supportive as well, David. But at the end of the day, we need to listen to ourselves so deeply, and like really get clear. And when we're making bigger changes in our life, that the level of listening needs to very much deepen, and at times it's better to act a lot like less, and to just like sit. And I feel like I'm taking a lot more breaths in between things as I go about each day, because that space, like I said, I feel like that space has brought in so much intelligence. And it was like things were like slow to get going that day. It was like my intelligence wasn't coming on, like, and like that's okay. But like, yeah, there's something deeper there that I'm really looking at, because it shows me that there's still blind spots, and I just I want to be really open to that, and I want to be really open to others more in pointing those things out, and I want to stay that much more open, so that that I can just see more.
Yeah, I love that, bro. Such a perfect example, right? And getting pulled in, like coming out of those profound containers. Often we get that insight of like, we're slowed down because we're fully present in that experience. And it's such a powerful lesson to bring back into everyday life. And this is like a beautiful and potent lesson there. It's like getting pulled into other people's worlds and just allowing them to guide the experience without slowing down, and like discerning with our sovereign, how does this feel in my body? How does this feel in my like really discerning like all layers and levels of like, okay, how does this feel right now? And pausing and requesting that boundary. It's like, hey, time to pause. And this can show up especially in relationships or close friendships, wherever, any human relationship. It's like, hey, where am I stepping away from my sovereign intuition and discernment and just kind of going with the flow. And often it's like we go with the flow for so long that this is like a quick version of it yesterday, and you're with the drivers and everything else there, where the impact was like there very quickly. But often if we're not doing that long term, it's like, oh, I'm in this relationship that's not aligned, or oh, I'm at this job that's misaligned, or oh, there's all these different ways, or my health is out of alignment because we're not actually sitting and listening to our body and discerning. So that's what I'm hearing in your share. It's like this great microcosm of that lesson. Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, because like impulse, like when we're in more of a mode of impulse, things are moving faster, and often we actually don't want things to move slower. So, so that we can kind of stay in more of the unconscious loop, more of what's familiar, but we're not in our power there, and so it's something I'm definitely going to really look at, because obviously I'm still was like quicker to just like trust, or believe, and so that's like, okay. And I've really practiced like so much more discernment in those categories. But yeah, this is like a really big area to look at. And I'm just going to continue to question people that much more when I'm chatting with them, even if it seems like it's like whatever of a thing. It kind of bothers people at times. And I do that in general, but I'm going to do this like so much more, and just question more and more. Like I even did question the guy. I'm like, so what is your job? Because he's like this information, everything. And then he said he was like a taxi driver. And then, so it wasn't like adding up as much. I'm like, oh, go keep questioning into that. So what's this information? Like it kind of makes sense that he has all these access to different buses and stuff because like of the company he works for, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? And it may not be like this. Yeah, there's like the micro experience of it, and then there's like, oh, this is the meta lesson that we get to. And what I'm hearing too is like the getting pulled into others' energetics as well too. It's like that anxiousness that you mentioned. It's like all of a sudden that's like if you're taking that on because you're so open, then it's like, oh, we got to rush and we got to make quick decisions and we've got to do these things.
Yeah.
So interesting how that can happen too, right? We get pulled into other people's vibration and yeah, get it pulled into whatever their intentions are versus like our sovereign decisions and choice and discernment.
Yep. Yeah, that's what happened. And yeah, it's pretty it's embarrassing in particular ways. I'm like, fuck, man, like that's
another layer, the guilt, the shame, the embarrassment to feel through.
Yeah. So it's something that I'm working through, and it's something that I'm like, yeah,
it's a gift.
Continue to be with.
Thank you, universe, for this powerful integration gift.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to help to like grow me as a man, and because that kind of had that touch on that, with like my wife and everything. It's like I want her to really very much trust my instincts, and I feel like if she was there, I would be acting much more differently, and we would have been able to like chat with each other and like decide what's going on and all of these things, but when it was more just like myself, it's like, all right. But I feel like one of the other things that I was like, learning from this whole journey too, is like the journey of excess, and just like recognizing, like this, like the old energies in and around poker. But like I got to a point where it's like I didn't know when to stop. This was when I was like at my worst. That's when I knew like that I had a problem, and so I feel like, there was some of that still in relation to food. And then there's some of that, like say in relation to work or in relation to this or that, and so like that I feel is like a huge learning, because as soon as we let ourselves go over the edge, that's like anything, how much are we letting somebody else's like what they're saying and like lead the way, or like their energies, and if they're bringing some like anxious energy or something like this. And so doing so much work on reeling that in, because when I have my boundaries, I know, no more. I'm done with the eating. I'm stopping work earlier. I'm doing this, and like building those areas so strongly, you know. And I feel like that's like something that like pretty much anyone can relate to. But like finding that balance, especially with food, I feel like that's probably the area that most people have an issue with, that they go, you know, too much with, or even whether it be caffeine or whatever it is. And when we find that line, and when we know that for ourselves more and more, that sweet spot is incredible, because when we're there, we are, everything's online. Our discernment, our intelligence, you know, our intelligence, we're having good ideas, like, and then that's when like really good things happen for us. So I feel like life does end up throwing these kind of situations to right the ship and be like, this is what fucking happens, you know? And this could have been a lot worse. You could have been, man, like, these situations could end up in kidnappings, you know, like these situations could end up in like really bad things. So, yeah, like I'm really taking this as like a big opportunity, a big learning opportunity.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Now sharing with you last night too. This has been a huge one for me over the past few years as well too, right? Like my experience in the past, like 4 years ago, this is in the tune of like 6-7 figures, like myself and close friends and family got scammed and taken out completely, like reset the game, you know. And that was tough, bro. Like so many layers of like the guilt, the shame, the what should have, could have, all of that comes up, right? And just really looking at where that discernment came in. And then it was like layers of it. And then being here in Costa Rica, like car mechanics, it's like I don't even like, bro, I'm at the tune of hundreds of thousands in that lesson, the same lesson, right? Of like slow down, discern, listen to the body, like no quick decisions, seek counsel, but trust my inner sovereignty at the end of the day. Because like giving my power over to others, it's like that's what's happened. And there's just been this massive lesson for me to really sit with that. It's like a daily thing, you know. It's like, is this aligned? Is this in tune? And food's mine. When I'm out of alignment, out of tune, it's like I'll go to food.
Yeah.
That's my vice. It's like, but it's healthy. These are plantain chips that grew off the tree right there. They're healthy. I can eat a whole bag of these because I don't want to sit with my emotions. Sure. So I'm excited to dive in with you. It's like it's this beautiful opportunity that you're here now, and I'm going to jump on this train with you and just go coconuts and fruit and go on a little quest myself with you while you're here. So I'm grateful for that opportunity as well. And yeah, I feel definite alignment of these lessons together, so we can definitely ground in and share stories and see what comes up through this one. So it's a big one.
I'm grateful. Yeah. Well, we'll share some more. Anyone who's been in Costa Rica, you'll know that you get a particular initiations here. Each time I've come here, I've got some really big initiations, some very challenging stuff. Last time I had a lot of injuries. I'm grateful that things are slowed down this much. I feel like this is going to be my last big one, but you never know, you know, what's going to come around the corner. But I'm feeling a lot of good things, and just grateful. I'm grateful to be alive.
I love that piece too, right? It's like really the big opportunity is like regaining our power from that, the clarity and the new layer, the new level of being able to show up and discern and trusting ourselves to, okay, the $800 is gone. Okay, cool. But who am I as a man that can just replace that or manifest that? And you were telling me last night, you had a client that came in from the past. It's like, it was pretty much the same amount. Just call you out of the blue, and be like, hey, let's do this thing. Right. So for me, I'm in that journey right now too, right? Like it's a bigger game that I've been served and given the opportunity to play to recover from. But that's sort of what I sit in. It's like, okay, I've been given this opportunity to really know myself as a man that can move through all of this and then even excel past that. Yeah. So that's been the game. But it's a journey, right? So it's like it's a definite journey. It's like the whole life is a ceremony. That's what I'll leave it on. If we can create life as a ceremony and just every day, what's there? How can I sit with the ceremony of life today and discern what's coming up and what emotions I can still sit with, or what inspired actions I can take, or the rest that I require it's all seasons. So yeah. Beautiful dance.
I feel you. Yeah, I called this thing a 28-day healing journey, but I guess it was it's gonna be a bit longer than that. That was day 29 of the whole experience. Pretty funny.
It's like, oh, you think you're done? Okay.
Yeah, really.
There you go.
No, yeah, and I know that this integration is going to be at least, it's going to be several more months of a integration process, and I'm really preparing myself for that, and yeah. Thank you so much, David. This has been super nice.
Yeah. Acknowledge you for jumping in, bro. Acknowledge us both for jumping in after a late journey last night. So here we are showing up. So I see you, brother. Appreciate you sharing your heart and being fully vulnerable on this journey and bringing people into your world. It's very inspiring you could have just taken this on your own and went through the process internally, but inviting your community in and other people's communities in is such a powerful and courageous thing to do. So I acknowledge you for that. I know this version of it is complete with this container, but yeah, definitely celebrating you. And I'm sure there'll be lots more to come through that you're going to be sharing around this. So thank you for creating the space for it.
Thank you so much. I think it's important that we, that more people share during their healing journey, during their weakest moments as well. And share, share your triumph, share all the things. But I feel like that's the hardest thing to do. And so that was part of the reason why I did this. I feel like it's just helpful to see somebody going through their stuff. It's like a lot of people see a lot of good things coming from me. And, I've been very consistent for 7 years now, like 7 or 8 years, like offering all my stuff and just showing up. And so I really wanted to give people more of an inside look at what it's like doing this deeper healing work. And so thank you all for joining on this journey. Thank you for being here with me. It's been quite the ride, and I don't regret a single moment of it. And I'm really grateful that I said yes to me, and I said yes to the fast, and I said yes to this podcast. I'm grateful for you, David, for showing up. Can you let people know how to get a hold of you if they're interested in working with you in the future?
Sure. I'd say, Facebook and Instagram are probably easiest. So I am David Pineo on Instagram and David Pineo on Facebook, or reach out to Chris. He's got my number.
Beautiful. David mentioned at the beginning, he's he's got Costa Rica.
He's in my house. We can chat. We will get connected.
Place. You know what? Actually, I think we should just close.
Oh, we lost Chris. Oh, wait a minute here, guys, to see if he pops back on. He got disconnected, I think, here somehow. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that, guys. Thanks for joining in. Much appreciated. Much love. And I'll have Chris share what he's back. Are you back, bro?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I almost wrapped it. It was like that close, and then you hop back on. Oh, now the audio's out. You're muted. It's unmute.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, I wanted to show you the view. It's just I couldn't sit with the view because of the sun, but I don't know if y'all can see this. Can you see it, David?
Yep. Yeah, we're good, man. So yeah, it's beautiful. So any of the brothers that are looking to come down for a retreat, I do 7-day rite of passage retreats right here on the land. So sacred fires down below there, and yeah, we create some beautiful experiences right there where Chris is standing. So
yeehaw. Yeah, grateful to be here. David and I are going to head over to dance church now. So thank you all for tuning in. Check out the As We Heal page or Chris Deb Kundalini page. I know you're on it now for all the previous episodes. And I'll be back in Toronto May 23rd. Got a mushroom ceremony on the 25th. Join the Soul Guided private network.
We got a house party jam on the 31st, potluck, open mic, campfire. We got a kirtan a week before. We got a sharing circle coming up. We got all the things. So the Soul Guided Community Empowerment Network is flowing. So we would love for you to join the community. And that's all for now. Adios.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Much love.